Perfect. So today's presentation is going to be half theoretical, but I really wanted to do something practical. So we're actually going to get hands-on. We're going to prompt the AI. We're going to build an actual tool in this session. And so I want to introduce it. I want to build it. And I want to do it practically here. So if you are more in a leadership or management role, I want to show you this capability so that you can know what's out there and maybe what some people on your team could have access to. And if you are an inventory management, production scheduler, somebody who's really in the weeds on the day-to-day, maybe this is something for you that you can build a little tool to help you do things. So up until this point, with software, it was such that you had two options. You could file a ticket with IT to write a script or build something for you. And these teams are often very swamped. They have 50 other requests, and you can wait 6 months to while they try to work through their priorities. Or you can buy some software, go through a procurement process to get maybe some small capabilities that you need, but also ship with a bunch of things you might not need. And so what happens is you end up sticking to Excel for your analysis. And there's nothing wrong with this. I love a good Excel sheet. I've made many in the past. And we love Excel because people that are closest to the problem are able to solve the issues and see the issues that come up. So they have an ability to solve problems themselves through this tool. So today, I really want to demonstrate how we can use AI to achieve some of the similar objectives in conjunction or instead of this type of Excel analysis. I'm gonna go through a bit of an intro, and then while we build stuff with AI, there will be some waiting period. So feel free to post your questions in the chat, and I'll answer them while we wait for AI to generate us some software. All right, I'll get into the agenda. So, like I said, we'll go through a little bit of a background. We'll do a demo of some live app creation, and we'll finish with a little bit of what to watch out for, when to use this tool set, and when to maybe take it a little bit more slowly. So the goal today is to have a practical session to demonstrate when we can use AI to create a software that can solve a real problem or perform a real analysis for us. I have been doing this in the manufacturing sector for the last 2 years, but before this, I was creating models for major infrastructure companies, determining the asset replacement of pipelines, rail networks, utilities, etc., figuring out how often different things needed replaced and how resources had to be used to go out and fix these in the most efficient manner to literally keep the lights on. After I saw this opportunity with AI, I saw that we can now grow and change software much more easily, and we can change it as processes evolve. So I found out that manufacturing, you grow your process as your business scales and evolves. And I came into using the scheduling knowledge I had from major infrastructure, taking that analytical rigor and building out. Now I build out scheduling solutions for different manufacturers to have software change as their process evolves. So I use these AI tool sets all the time to cost effectively give changes to my customers. And I want to teach you guys to be able to do some of this yourself. So in the last couple of years, some things with software have been changing. The agility is greatly improved. AI is able to help you make much more frequent modifications to software if you're set up in a way that you can push those easily. So you can do that more easily than before. You can therefore also customize stuff more. It's now more cost effective to create code, and software no longer needs to be as mass distributed as it needs to do before. And so this is causing a bit of a resegmentation of the market. Before, software and custom softwares were only available to the very biggest of giants. So you have Amazon and Tesla, they all have their own internal supply chain software that they use on the day to day. And now we're making it more accessible for the mid-sized manufacturers to access and create their own custom software. Now, some things haven't changed. What hasn't changed is the knowledge required to create the software and create the processes that will run your business. And this is an advantage of many off-the-shelf softwares. Something like an accounting or a tax process or something like that, if you aren't an expert in what you are building, then I would suggest it's better to go and get an expert who has built the software that has done it before. So something like a finance process or something like this, maybe it's better to get an off-the-shelf tool. Requirements gathering hasn't changed, even though we can build software faster than ever before. If you can build anything instantly, you can also build the wrong thing instantly. And you can build something that is essentially a tower of cards or that can blow over really easily, that doesn't actually run a real process, that isn't actually useful. So requirements gathering, making sure you're building the right thing hasn't changed. And then the old adage, people, process, technology, even if we can implement technology faster than ever, we still need to get everybody on the same page. We still need to make sure to get that stakeholder buy-in and do that change management, because most software tends to fail at implementation as well. And especially if you're developing your own software, you have to know that perhaps the first version isn't going to be the end state. It might have a few bugs. It might have some things from that knowledge portion that you have to learn through experience. So yes, change management and having the whole team on the same page, wanting to deploy the culture, the buy-in to get better is still, that hasn't changed. That's still required. Now, the big elephant in the room is Excel, and almost all software companies in some way or another try to compete or work with Excel. And Excel is actually great. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's universally available. It's flexible. It can handle reports, dashboards as well. It's zero setup. Everybody knows how to use it. Sometimes there's a few drawbacks. You might have some monolithic sheet made by your Excel expert in your company, and it has some key person risk associated with it. So only one person knows how to run this monolith. It's sometimes hard to find errors. If a cell breaks down, it can break a sheet, create a hidden calculation error. And it tends to not be as AI friendly as code, although I think GitHub Copilot is starting, Copilot is starting to get much better at Excel as well. So maybe that's a little out of date, and AI and Excel are going to be working together much more in the future. So it's not going anywhere, but I want to show essentially an alternative solution to this and a practical use case. So I think one reason I wanted to make this presentation is it's not that well understood just how easy it has become to create a software that solves a small problem. And I emphasize small because if you start to try to vibe code your way to a big enterprise software, you're going to run into data issues, deployment issues, security issues, whatever. But to do a single analysis, something like you're analyzing your resources, planning your safety stock, taking a forecasted plan and comparing it to the actual plan, taking some sort of data extract out of your MES or ERP system and doing an analysis on it. This is a fantastic use case, and typically how I will go and do demos for prospects. I'll take some data extract. I'll create a little tool to show them some sort of insights that they didn't have before. But you can also do this yourself. I'll just pause there before we get into more of a practical portion, but is there any questions so far? Okay. So today we'll do a bit of we'll make a bit of an inventory cockpit software. So the little scenario I've set up is we just did a monthly cycle count. Maybe some parts were off what we were expecting, and I want to see how my part inventory is doing over the next 60 days. I want to evaluate my minimum and maximum stock levels with the goal of reducing inventory. And I want a tool where I can spot risks fast, explain any number, and drill into details. So before this, I went to my ERP system, and this is actually just some sample data. I took my updated inventory numbers and I also exported all of the expected material consumption of my jobs in the next couple of days. So basically or the next couple of weeks. So that time phase data, here's all of the materials we have and all of the ones we're expected to use. So I have my problem, I have my data. The tool I'll be using today is Claude Code. I'll be using the left version here, the terminal. The desktop app is a little more user-friendly and is exactly the same. You can do pretty much exactly the same things with the desktop version as the terminal version. I'm just used to the terminal version, so you'll see me using that one today. I'm company independent. I don't have necessarily a preference towards Claude, Codex, and OpenAI and stuff like that. They're fine too. But yeah, I'll show you this tool set today. And for the demo, I actually went and created for you guys a template. I took some of the software that I deploy for my customers. I took out some of the login and enterprise things and just left a skeleton of just an empty template. So it's a starting point. You can ask AI to build a software from scratch. Can we do it in Copilot? Yeah, I think I haven't been using Copilot much, but I'm pretty sure Copilot can also program. It just has to have access to your file system on your local. So some people might, some enterprises might lock the ability to edit and create files. But I'll have to follow up on exactly if you can do it directly in Copilot. So yeah, here's the template. I'll actually be using the prompts that I have here. And I created a code repo. You don't have to be a programmer to do this. And we'll just go ahead and get started. So I'll go to my website here where I created some sample prompts for us. And let me just change my screen share to my other screen. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So if you open my website, you'll get a bunch of prompts. And let's start using it. So practically, I'm going to open a folder on my computer where AI has access to edit. I'm going to start up Claude here. Oh, my caps lock is on. And I have a chat window like anything else, but my screen's still showing, or is my screen showing?
Yeah, you can see your screen.
Okay, sorry, yes. I can't see it on the preview. Okay. So here I've just a chatbot. It's like any other web page chatbot. It's just in my terminal. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my initial template here. And AI is going to do a lot of the initial setup and code steps that software developers needed to know. It's going to go and grab my code. It's going to go and set it up on my computer. Um, I've loaded in some skills and descriptions so it knows how to operate with this template. Um, and it's going to download it for us. So let's see. Here it is. So just like that, I've got an initial code project. Now, I'm going to pretend I'm not a developer. I don't know how to use this. So the cool thing about AI is you always have a buddy with you to help you uh, do stuff. So here I'm going to ask it, for example, how do I run this? And it's going to go look at the instructions and it's going to say, oh, you got to go and you've got to run the command install and start. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to run cd bridge template, which basically I'm opening my terminal at the code project folder level, and then I'm going to install it. And then I'm going to start it. Great. We have a running software. So let's take a look at it, at this empty template. I created a few fun little preview views here. So we've got a 3D graph. I've got a dashboard and I've got 8 jobs. A question. Why am I doing things on the command prompt? I asked it, how do I run this? And it basically gave me the start command. Why not directly on Claude Code? Yeah, Claude Code can also run it. So I can also ask it to run the install command for me. So yeah, it can also run the commands. Yeah, just have it, I guess. So, okay, so we've got a running software. I've got just a few empty dashboard templates, maybe a report, something with a Excel export. This is just some sample ideas to get started. I've got a little bit of a menu, and yeah, it looks like a simple SaaS software. Again, you don't need to use a template. Claude will generate a software from you from total scratch. But this is just a guidance tool you can use that I'm providing here. So let's go back to our problem. Now, one cool thing about AI is you can ask it to help me brainstorm a new feature that I want to create. So if you don't know exactly what you want, but you have some level of data and you kind of know the objectives, you can actually have it start brainstorming with you to create that idea. So in this case, I'm going to grab some Excel sheets that I have. Just give me one moment. Um, so I'm going to grab some Excel sheets and so I have some Excel sheets here. I'm going to give the Excel sheets to the AI. Maybe it's giving me some things. I want to create a KPI dashboard with And it'll go and brainstorm some visuals, etc. And eventually you can collaborate to make something. You can say, hey, use the following data. So again, we can drag it some Excel sheets, etc. Now, for this example, I've already made a prompt for this inventory cockpit. So I want to build an inventory cockpit on top of this template. I put the data in the demo folder. I want, I did a quick description of the data, plus the jobs consuming the materials. And I want the 3D view with the material parts. I want dates along the bottom. I want a dashboard, etc. So I kind of wrote up an entire specification of everything that I want. And I can now take this prompt and essentially just give it to the AI. Build me this inventory cockpit and um, execute fully autonomously because I'm pretending I'm not a developer. I just want it to go and build it for me entirely on its own. So yeah, it's going to start building my inventory cockpit based on this template, and we'll let that run. While that's running, does anyone have any questions so far?
How did you make this prompt?
How did I make this prompt? Yeah, I kind of prepped. I can get into it a little bit more. I chatted with AI. I actually gave it the data like I did before, and I did that brainstorming exercise. And at the end, I gave it a bunch of requirements of what I wanted it to do. And at the end, I said, make this into a prompt so I can reuse it for later. Um, but if you ask it to brainstorm with you based on what you want in your data set, um, then you can kind of work out the requirements of what you want to show with the AI. Great question.
Okay, any other questions? You can type in the chat or come on mic.
Yep. So have a long chat with the AI about what you're trying to build, and then at the end, ask it to make a prompt. Yep. If you're doing this right into the project, you can also just ask it to start building, and it'll start building. Usually, it'll create a spec for you first. So you can ask it, make me a summarized specification document, and then it will write that for you, and then you can review it. Maybe I'll show one of these specs actually. Let me show you for something I've been working on recently. Uh, so I was working on a scheduling algorithm, uh, and I wanted to better show the user what uh, what how it was calculating the priority of certain jobs on the floor. And so I was talking to AI back and forth. Here's what I want to design. And eventually I asked it, hey, create me a specification. And so it goes through and we define together the problem. We want to create a simulation panel to show such a priority score. Um, and then we worked out all of the business requirements for this, and it kind of created this for me. Question: do we need basic coding knowledge to run this, or just write a correct prompt? Um, no, I would say you don't really need basic coding knowledge. The one thing in the future, like right now, what I just showed you, you can just go to my website, get the template, and you can copy some of these prompts already and just fill out some of these things. When you try to save and iterate and build for the future, you probably want to pick up some basic GitHub knowledge. This is how developers save and are able to revert back to previous versions. And in fact, my website was built by a non-technical person. Um, so I had just set them up with the initial templates themselves, and then they have just been editing it. And I also set it up to automatically deploy, so that they can just make changes, edit, and then tell the AI to deploy it, and it would go. So the thing is, for setup, you need a little bit of developer knowledge. For actually doing and making these things, you probably need better just insight into the requirements of what you're trying to build. So hopefully today, I quickly pasted some prompts in here, but it just shows you that all you need really is prompts to build something like this.
Okay, Niels, Peter has a question. How do you make the output consistent for each run? I noticed that even with the same prompt, the results tend to vary when I run it with a refresh data set the next week. Is this a iterative process of improving the prompt to ensure consistency?
Oh, this is a really great question. And the answer is, for this type of software, you don't need the same result, because essentially you probably just build the software once and then you go from there. Um, I'll show you that in a second here. But let's just let this run. I actually ran it before the session, so I'll just show you the result of that prompt from before. So I'll just navigate to, actually, here, I'll do it through the File Explorer. So for you guys who don't use terminals, um, let me go into the result of this prompt. So um, I'll go here, open the terminal, and I'll start the app. So after I ran the prompt, um, I have a 3D view of my parts over the next 60 days. It's a little busy. I don't know if 3D view is necessarily the best view for the parts, but I thought it was fun. Um, and as you can see, I can click on a part view. I can see a new PO coming in. I can see here we have plus 800 of these parts, and then I can see 2 jobs consuming this. Um, let's take a look at some of the other dashboards I asked it to create. So I asked it to create kind of KPIs on this. So here I have the different parts from my data. I have, the average inventory that we're holding over the next couple of days. We can see the inventory value is increasing over time, most likely because I only have jobs scheduled to consume inventory over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Um, and then after that, I might not have jobs scheduled anymore, so my inventory is going to the max level of the replenishment POs that I have in my data set. And so yeah, I have this cool dashboard here. And then here, I also asked it to create a part timeline of how it's consuming these parts. So here I've got a part that we're actually consuming it, and it's going below my minimum level, actually into the negative. So here I could call purchasing and say, hey, based on this, part and the jobs that are consuming it, we need to have a new PO come in by the next couple of weeks to make sure that we can replenish this inventory back into that min max band that I want to be at. Maybe I'll look at a different part here. So here we have an example of a part. that's perfectly in my min-max range. So here we have jobs consuming it, then we have a new PO coming in, ordering new stock, and it's consuming it. So here I'm like, wow, my bands are perfectly fine. I'm consuming parts fine. So yeah, this is what came out of that initial prompt. I'll take a look back at our progress of the one we're doing live here. It's still just chugging along. The question in the chat: do we need basic coding knowledge? No. Look, it just chugs along, and it looks like it's generating code, and it looks codey, but it's doing it. I asked it to do it fully autonomously, and it's just creating files. It's creating new features and all of that, all in one go. So no, you don't need basic coding knowledge to make something like this. Now, back to the other question: how do you make output consistent with each run? I would imagine between this run that I'm running live for you guys right now and the run I did before, because I only had a small prompt, the difference, it will be a little bit different. But that's where iteration comes in. With creating a static software like this, I'm not feeding the data to the AI every time. I'm feeding the data to the software. And so that way, I always get the same result. But I'm using the AI to change the software. So we'll do that in a second. Question, Argyle, or
Hi, thanks, Niels. It was actually related to the iteration. I was hoping we might be able to. Here, for example, you can see when to expect a negative level by part. Um, would it be possible for us to go back to the software and ask it to generate a report which would aggregate parts based on when we need to replenish them? So that would translate much more effectively from a procurement perspective.
yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Why not?
Thank you.
I think that's a great example. I wasn't prepared to do that, but that's perfect because let me open. Okay, sorry. This is the one that's building from before, building it from scratch. Let me open the one here. That's I would like to report. Let's make it under the KPI dashboard. I would like to report under the KPI dashboard all of my parts that are going negative and when they are going negative. Please make these changes and also make a button to export it to Excel. Now, it might ask me some clarification questions because I just wrote it 2 sentences here. So it's going to go and it's going to start looking through the code. It's going to go and read all the files, see what we have already. And it's either going to do it or it's going to ask me for some clarification. So let's just see what happens here. But hopefully this is showing that I don't really need to know how to code. I just need to know how to ask what I want. So it says this is a well-structured module. It's already running. When you say the part's going negative, what threshold do you mean? It's asking clarification if it means below the min-max level or below 0. So in this case, we'll go with below 0, but you might want to flag it when it goes below your minimum inventory level, depending on what you want it to do. Let's make it export as a CSV instead of an Excel. It's a little bit quicker. And let's see, hopefully it's ran out of questions. Okay, it's going to summarize the approach. That's great. I'm going to now tell it This is exactly what I want. Obviously, if I'm really building this, I would review it in more detail. But for this demo, this is exactly what I want. Execute fully autonomously. If you don't ask it to be fully autonomous, it's going to like ask you for approval as you go along, as it changes things. Now, if I'm building something complicated, maybe that that's key. But if I'm just building a dashboard like this and I'm a non-developer, I just want it to deal with all the technical issues by itself, and then just give me the final output at the end. So yeah, it's going to start building that. I think it'll be a little faster than the other one. But in the meantime, the other one finished. So maybe let's take a look at if it's any different from the one I deployed earlier. Just need to make sure the other one isn't running. So let's take a look at our new one. Whoa, the 3D view is a little bit unseemly. So one or two props here to make it look better than the other one. Would probably more like the other one. But let's take a look at our KPI dashboard. So there are some differences. Here, it already made the list of the parts at risk right off the bat. It showed a few different graphs because my prompt was kind of small and it didn't specify exactly what it had. But again, this is a great starting point to my inventory cockpit and what I want. And I can start to hone in on specific parts of this and tweak it to wherever I want. So even if my starting point is a little bit kind of around the same things, I can just start to refine it. And refining and iterating is a lot easier. So the idea is you generate something to start, and then you kind of ask it for very specific things and have it change those specific things. So yes, like the questions say, it isn't extremely consistent, but if you iterate, you'll eventually get to the same result that you want anyways. And if you write longer specs, like you saw my other spec for my actual implementation that I was doing, sometimes they're 5 to 10 pages long of just requirements. And I will just feed it 5 to 10 pages of like having thought through all of the exact architecture that I want and how I want it displayed and all of this, and I'll get that to the AI to build. So it's like as long as you really well specify what you want, it will build it. If you don't specify, you can also just do the iteration method where you just iterate with it. Let's see if those changes to that other one are done. It's doing some testing now. So a really cool thing of why AI works so well with code is because it can self-test and debug. Whereas when you ask it a question like, if you feed it data directly and you ask it a question to summarize data, it might hallucinate or make mistakes. When it programs and it makes mistakes, it programs, it runs the code, and then it sees, oh, there's a bug, and then it goes back and fixes it, and it does that loop all by itself. And this is why AI is so powerful at coding, because even if it hallucinates, it doesn't matter. Code doesn't compile, doesn't run. It goes through and it goes and fixes its own errors. In this case, it's throwing an error because I'm running it somewhere else. So it should be just about done here for that change you asked me to make. I can tell because I'm a developer that it's already done and it's just doing some testing. So here, this is what we asked, parts going negative. We have our parts and we have the date that it goes negative in. And we can export this to Excel. And I've got a little CSV that I can take along with me. Does that answer your question, Argol?
Very much. Thank you.
How to edit and change. One other cool thing, what I actually wanted to do in this demo is I wanted to create the upload button. But just like I can ask it to create an export button, I can also ask it to create an upload to Excel button. So if I was refining this software as a supply chain manager and I wanted to do this every time after a cycle count, I could just have this program and then I could export my Excel sheets from my ERP system, and I could load them to my custom tool every week. And I wouldn't have to do the programming. I wouldn't have to do any of that. I just upload to Excel. I can see the new data in my dashboard. No need to integrate, nothing, and use it right away.
Kare's got a question. What are the skills that you have designed for Claude to learn from? And does it choose the skill based on the prompt you ask?
Yes. So in my template, the skills are very simply ones around how to organize a module. So I have defined it to recognize like this is an inventory module, and we create like submenus in there. It's not very crazy. It's just I gave it some basic guidance to work with the tool set I like to work with. Other skills I often do is design language. Um, so those are the ones I design. The brainstorming one is actually one that is pre-made. So you can get plugins. You can get plugins for front-end design. You can get plugins for code review, all sorts of things. I think the one I've got installed, I was using the Superpowers plugin for brainstorming. So Superpowers can brainstorm. It helps you write plans, etc. So you can download these plugins to give it skills that developers have worked really hard to make good. So you don't have to make stuff yourself. Superpowers, I highly recommend. That's the one I was using for brainstorming. And then, yeah, my own personal skills for something like for something like this template, I just basically give it instructions on what it is, how to use it, and stuff like this. This is more of a developer thing. And basically, it reads this every time, and it makes sure that it'll sort code in a nice way into the template. Other than that, no real skills. It's mostly just, it'll work out of the box pretty well. Yeah, there's plugins out there. You feel free to research. The Superpowers one is the one I use the most. Next question.
Okay, Vaibhav.
Yeah, thanks, Manly. Thanks for showing that, Niels. Just I have a follow-up on the dashboard that you've added. So if we wanted to shift gears and make it a bit more prescriptive in nature, would we be able to maybe ask the AI to recommend what replenishment policy should we have for each kind of product? For example, if some product is not being moved as frequently, could we be ordering that maybe sporadically, or some products that need to be continuously replenished, and like what level of safety stock should it have? So can it go into that level of granularity is my question. Of course we would need to double check if it's true or not, but like what level of recommendation it can give us.
It can. So yes, so this is a different type of AI use. You can straight up ask Claude about the data. You can have it give you suggestions. If you're thinking on more the software side, you can also program it to have rules to detect and flag to you, like certain levels. Let me think here. You can approach it two ways. You can just straight up ask it, like, "Hey, are these levels? What would you recommend for these levels, for the min-max levels of these parts?" Or you can ask it to build a repeatable system to detect for you when it goes wrong. So you can start brainstorming with it, and you can say, "Hey, I would like to create some rule sets to know and flag when I should change min-max levels for parts." And you can ask it to work with you, and you can have a conversation about what you want to configure and change and flag, and then you can ask it to build some front-end thing that will show you when you upload the data, hey, maybe you should adjust the min-max levels of this part. So yeah, this is possible. Again, easiest, you can straight up ask it for suggestions, and it will go through the data. This is a more typical use of AI that people are doing. So you could do that without even doing the whole software generation thing. You can also just give it a bunch of Excel sheets. So if I go here, and yeah, if I grab my Excel sheets, I can just drag them to the AI and then ask it to do that analysis straight up. So yeah, either way, if you want to create a system and a software that will do it for you on the exact same way every time, then the generating the software might be the way. If you just want a one-off insights onto the things, then you go from there. The question, how do you deploy software created by Claude Code to other users? This is starting to get a little bit more complicated, because when you have other users, you might want other logins, etc. I use Terraform. This is a way to interact with AWS directly, but this will give you the warning, is very dangerous. You need to know what you're doing, because if you are creating and spinning up development resources like computers and stuff in the cloud, it can get really expensive really quickly. So I internally have reporting tools that are notifying me if I have a spike in AWS usage. So yeah, deploying this to other users, ask an IT department or an expert on this. It can be done, and it can also be done that you can set up a pipeline so somebody could edit like this, and every time they post a change, it goes through a deployment pipeline and automatically gets posted to a deployed web app. But I think that's out of the scope of this. What I will say is, if you want to share this with people, you can just go through and grab the tool that you've made, and you can zip it. What is it? Compress.
Niels, if you're
you could send it to someone.
Niels, you may not be sharing your screen at the moment. If you think you're sharing.
Oh, I haven't been sharing it for a while.
No, just a couple minutes.
Oh, okay. So yes, I am sharing. Okay, so yes, you can drag and drop from Excel, and it looks something like this, and you can just give it files to ask. And then here, you can also just zip a project and send it to somebody, and they just have to run the install command and the start command as well. So if you want to just share a project like this among users, if you have multi-user things, then it becomes a lot more complicated, which is great timing to go back to my presentation. Because some of the things, like when to do this as a non-developer and when not to. So there's some benefits to this. AI is a built-in help. Even if you don't know, you kind of know what you want, but you don't know how to do it. When you build a software like this, you can work with it and iterate with it and figure it out. And you can ask it stuff like, how did you do this calculation? And it will tell you, here's how I did the calculation. And you can verify and double check the math and stuff like this. You can make repeatable functions. So if you want to create a tool like this for internal use, share it with a few people that might do this. You can make upload buttons, you can make export to Excel buttons, and you can prototype and design even if you don't know what you need. Because AI has the full knowledge of the entire internet in it, so it might know something about what you need to accomplish your goal. So you could just give it, I need a software that accomplishes this goal. How would you recommend me to design it? And it will work with you to help you design it. Some of the drawbacks is the setup is not universally known or understood. I have been working with it for many years, so I don't believe this is too complicated. I set my business partner up to use GitHub and stuff as well. So some basic skills like that are very valuable. There's mediocre prompting comes with mediocre results. So like I said, oftentimes when I'm building really good tools, my specs are 5 to 10 pages long. I've defined all of what I want. Obviously, it wasn't fully handwritten. I work with the AI to create these specs, but at every stage I review them and I make sure that there's nothing in there that might throw my thing off track. And distribution is a little bit more difficult, like the question said. It might require a little bit more IT expertise to help do this, and especially how to do this in an enterprise cybersecure environment. That starts to get a little bit more tricky and more specialized. But running these things locally is reasonably safe, and yeah, I mean, it's not making calls or API calls to anything or distributing it anywhere. So, and it's just running on your local computer. So I think that's reasonably safe, and passing those along as files is quite easy. How far should you take this? I think this is great for data analysis, a dashboard, an organizational tool. You can create a tool like this to display and put it on the warehouse or the factory floor. So you can like make something really nice to put on the TV. Where some factories I've toured, they have just Excel sheets on the TV. So you can take that Excel sheet, ask AI to make a nice dashboard out of it for you, and then now you have maybe a nice schedule on the production floor. That's fantastic. You can use it as an organizational tool if you're finding yourself combining data sets and making new Excel sheets often. You can just upload a bunch of Excel sheets and ask AI to have a pipeline to export a new format for you. Where you shouldn't take this is probably without help deployment. If you're dealing with extremely large data sets, that starts to get hard as well, because the AI will just like create an API that might be, not efficient or slow, and you might end up building a slow system or a critical system. So again, with this, if you're not a developer, you probably don't know the best in testing practices. So when I develop, I usually do test-driven development. I actually write my end cases and my edge cases first, and then I say make tests first, and then create the software second. And then as it creates the software, the tests will like go green, and it'll be like, oh, now it's doing this, now it's doing that. So again, if it's a critical system, vibe coding like this, probably not the best. You want stuff that's well tested. Any questions on this before I kind of wrap up? Okay. Lastly, how I use this technology. I use it for bringing production processes down to the click of a button. So I build digital twins of production logic, and when something changes, materials are late, staff doesn't show up, I have a production process twin that knows how to deal with it, and we can auto-generate new schedules, new rules, etc. And my softwares span usually both planning and scheduling, because I find this is the process that changes the most. So planning out what the next 1 to 8 weeks of capacity looks like, what are the sales orders that are coming down the pipeline, how do we meet those, etc. And then from the scheduling side, I work with the as we've made the plan and the capacity plan, as the on the day that the resources, your people come in, you might be missing your critical welder, you might have to replan, etc., and adjust and real change, and that kind of feeds the 1 to 8 week plan, etc. So my systems look kind of like the template that I provided for you guys. I have capacity plan, I've got skills matrices for workers, and this vibe coding stuff can also apply to apps, although it requires a bit of a different setup and template, where you can now have apps that talk directly to your production data, etc. So this is some of what I do. Hopefully that was informative. Please, if you build something with the template, and I'd love to know about it. So, tag me on LinkedIn. And yeah, if you have further questions about building your own tools or about scheduling systems, please reach out to me.
Great. Any final questions? Oh, Juhe has one. What can be advantage or rightful scenario to use data analytics, Python, Jupyter, to analysis these data set and have the report created in contrast to web SaaS?
Yeah, well, oftentimes this web software um, is just you can do a data analysis in Python and then just display it in the way I showed it today. So in the backend right now here to process this data, I've got the template set up to use JavaScript, but you can just as easily make a Python program to do that analysis. And you can vibe code. You can ask the AI to build you Python files and code and review it. So yeah, I don't see any problem with that either. And then you can also ask it to create a front end like this and make yourself a micro software to display that data. Crystal, if we don't quite get it, what would you recommend us to use or understand the way of creating the tool? Is there any information or document you share with us? So yes, if you go to my website, I have I'll put it in the chat. I have the template, but it should walk you through it, but two ways. One, you can ask the AI anytime you get stuck. I think that's the big thing. If you start here and you know what you're trying to achieve, hopefully today you're not walking away with exactly how to do this, but you know that this is out there and you can build these things. AI is your friend. Just ask it, hey, how do I go about and build this? And it'll be your coach and your mentor to work you through this. Other than that, there's lots of YouTube tutorials on using Claude Code out there. I don't have one off the top of my head, but just watching a 15 to 20-minute YouTube video can get you that. And if you really get stuck, you can send me an email too.
Great. Thanks, Crystal. Shantanu has another one. Would the link to this recording be emailed after? Yeah. Yeah, we're actually going to be posting it on YouTube, Shantanu. So you can watch it there.
Do you notice a trend of mainstream ERP systems starting to incorporate AI capability into their systems to mimic this type of analysis? How far along are they? Yeah, I definitely see features are coming along. At the same time, some of these features is a competitor to their own systems as well, because you can build your own systems out. One thing I did to one of my tools is I just directly connected I made an integration to all of Epicore's BAQ system. And so it can now query any data out of the ERP, and you can just ask AI for data, and it'll bring it into its own system. So yeah, I would be surprised if it doesn't go this way into the future, where more and more of it is generated within templates. So you can essentially open like a blank box and populate it with exactly what you want and edit within ERP systems. I haven't seen anything to the level of like full custom coding, but in my own software, I have an AI chat that modifies production process rules. So instead of having a really complex configurator, etc., you just ask it, hey, I want to expedite this in this order, and it goes and changes it. So I would imagine other people are doing that as well.
Right. Hey, any other questions or comments? CGY has great presentation. Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we close off? Okay, great. Well, Niels, thank you very much. Just so that everybody knows this, Niels is actually going to be presenting at the summit in October. So we're going to have a multitude of AI sessions, and Niels will be one of the presenters, going through some different case studies, different examples, but in a little bit more detail. So if you're going to be attending the summit in October, definitely get yourself registered when we post it. Probably we'll have a good amount of AI sessions during that event. Again, thanks everyone. We will be posting this on YouTube. Okay, so you will get a copy. Email will go out. I definitely encourage you follow our YouTube channel, right? Because we're posting on a regular basis. We do have another AI session coming up next month on a different topic, and we're working on illegal aspects of AI. So eventually we'll have a presenter on that. We're working on that currently. Definitely there'll be something coming in the pipeline and posted. So again, keep up to date, guys, on following our chapter pages, our chapter postings, and as well the YouTube channel. Thanks everybody for taking the time to attend today, and we'll catch up with you very soon.